There you are. What's up,
Hey,
man?
sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
You hear me all right?
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, trying to get some of this stuff out of the way here on the screen. All right. Yeah, dude, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
Oh, trying to get this room back in order. It got flooded over the weekend.
Oh,
Not horrible, but had to throw a couple rugs away. You know.
bummer.
Yeah, but guitars, amps, all that, and computer, all that good stuff. It's all solid. So
That's good.
hell yeah,
Expensive shit.
right? But oh wow, a lot of people. Actually, got a lot of people in the chat today. A lot of people. You probably saw the whole thing about Black Dahlia murder and
Dude,
Trevor.
he's such a happy guy too, so it's really surprising.
Yeah, I got lucky enough to meet him one time. Uh, it was they were still touring on Nocturnal, so this has been a long time.
Yeah.
But him and Brian were just so sweet and accommodating that I think I was like 16 or 17 at the time, and uh, met Brian and talked to him a minute, and he was just so cool. Probably because me and my buddies were all a bunch of kids, but saw we had like posters and stuff that we picked up at merch. So he would like wrangle all the other band members as they made their way into the venue just to have them all like meet us and sign our posters and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, bunch of sweethearts. It's a real
Yeah,
shame.
he's always really supportive of Twitching Tongues Nails, and like even put Disgrace on one of his little columns he did
Yeah.
for, I think it was for Metal Sucks that he did that. But it was he's awesome.
Oh yeah. Big supporter of the music scene for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, not to detract too much, but had to address the elephant in the room, I guess. You know what I mean?
Brutal day.
Yeah. But yeah, well, let's try to cheer everybody up a little bit with some nerdery, huh?
Sure, let's do it.
So, man, you kind of always have something going on. I've been a fan for a little while, and I always check out all your various projects and try to check out, albums and stuff that you've worked on that you share on social media, which is hard to keep up with, I might add. But so what do you currently have? Like what's your main focus, just even today, for that matter?
Today, literally today, I'm actually working on the mix for this band Tribal Gaze.
I love Tribal Gaze. That's
Fucking
awesome.
record is insane.
That is so sick. I was just talking to Quentin, like just within the last couple days to
Oh,
try to get him on as a guest.
nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Really good.
Did you say you're working on the mix for it? Like did
Yeah,
they
they
track?
recording for months, honestly. But I think initially they sent me some stuff, and I heard the kind of uh, programmed drums that they had, and I was just like, well, why don't you guys just go do real drums? And they did it at a place in Texas, and it's gonna sound really good.
Hell yeah. Do you know who they tracked with? Just curious.
I don't know the dude's name, but the studio is called The Bubble.
Okay.
I think Mammoth Grinder did one of my favorite things that they did there. So
Sick.
I always really liked how the drum sounded on that specific record, so it made sense for this. It'll be
Nice.
a little murkier than their first record, because their first record's just like great digital program kind of thing, and this is going to be a little more real and slimy than the
Nice.
first.
Which is fitting for the sound. Um, one thing, which not to gush, but you and Kurt Ballou are two of my favorite producers, and for pretty similar reasons, even though your all's bodies of work uh, overall can be seen pretty, fairly different, like genre wise and
For sure.
all that. But you guys are both probably two of the best, in my opinion, at uh, production that kind of meets today's standard for production, like for most viewers and listeners, but not in the over polished way. You guys just make a band sound the way that they should, like if you were to go see them live, without making it hyper realistic like a lot of modern production would.
Yeah, I we just like low mids, I think. That's pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I mean, sick. um, which I mean, you guys are still, I know Kurt kind of dabbles with a lot of digital stuff now, like using Helix and stuff live, but generally speaking, like in the studio, you guys are still very heavily toting, the old, like the all analog, old school methodology for everything.
Yeah, we love
Hmm?
we love a good microphone instead of just some kind of plug-in or something.
Right, right. Like experimenting with different mics in different positions and getting some room sound and things like that, as opposed to just an IR loader,
Yep.
which the little variables and different preamps, compressors, and like all kinds of different outboard gear. All these little ingredients make up for a whole new tone that a lot of people might be missing out on.
Yeah.
But so of your own personal projects, because I'm sure after talking to enough people that have multiple projects going at once, I know it's kind of normally like a rotation. So right now, for you personally, what's the next thing going on right now?
Um, God Sate's playing shows every now and then. We just said, or we announced Sound and Fury the other day. That one of the next things coming up, and then I have another Zaus record that's in the can, ready to come out. Just we just haven't set a date yet. I don't know if that's going to play live, but the record's really cool. I spent more time with it because the first one was just like a week-long demo thing,
Sure.
and this one's like a record, so it feels a little more dense. And
Nice.
then have another thing I'm doing with my brother called Dead Body. That's like a grindy death metal band. Um, just a little faster, more upbeat, and kind of like a tribute to like 90s New Jersey death metal stuff.
Okay. Hell yeah. Which might I add, that Zaus demo, uh, absolutely sick. I play it all the time. I actually finally picked up the tape. I don't know. I guess in the last the last few months,
Oh,
whenever uh, I guess you were out of them, and then just came out, like had a bunch more or something.
Comp did a reissue of it.
Okay.
Um, there'll be another that those songs will be on the vinyl of the new record too.
Okay. I may have to cop that then.
Like,
Because I'm a sucker for like the borderline doomy kind of, you know, fuzzed out almost kind of death metal.
sick.
Um,
This one's a little smoother, but it's still got two.
it kind of cut there. Did you say it's a little smoother?
Smoother, but it still has the like insane
Okay.
to it. Just not it's not dialed to fucking 666 like that one is.
Hell yeah. So talk about Dead Body for a second there. What maybe try to, I know nobody likes to try to compare whatever they're working on to some bands, but maybe just a couple ideas of what it might be in the vein of.
Um, I guess it's just somewhere between like ripping corpse, human remains, and like, and then there, but then there's a little bit of like dead guy hardcore to it. So it's like literally, like I said, the trifecta of those
Sure.
three New Jersey bands are like those were like the jump off point, and it kind of evolved from there.
Oh yeah, sick. What what kind of gear are you using for that one? Do you
For
know?
that, I think I shit. What did I use? I think I used this Mesa that I've been using a lot lately. A Mesa DC-10. I really, really like it, and it doesn't
Great.
need as much help. Yeah, it's fucking crushing. Uh, and then I'd used my pedal in front of it that I'm putting out soon with
Oh,
Michael Klein.
oh, not. Uh, I think I might have an idea of what it is. I won't say or nothing, but
We publicly already, but yeah, it's basically a chug box.
yeah.
It'll do the job for today, I think.
Uh, is he might have been hinting at something else? Is it somewhat Mesa derivative?
No, that's something else, but that one's gonna be sick too.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of then. Okay.
Yeah, more like it's like an overdrive and fuzz combo that and the two circuits kind of work together.
Oh, that's sick. What isn't that somewhat similar to kind of like what the longsword was doing for you on your board for a bit?
Definitely, because that would give me the kind of fuzzy top end,
Mm-hmm.
but it has a little bit more of the like smooth saturation to it instead of the kind of blocky sound that the longsword has. But I do love the longsword.
Yeah, I kind of for me like that pedal's all kind of synonymous with what I've accustomed to like your tone and everything at this point.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Got a question here from the chat. In your opinion, is it more quote unquote legit or better for a doom slash sludge band to record a less polished album?
Uh, and depends on the band, but personally speaking, I would say yes. That would get me interested faster for sure.
Yeah.
Sounds and fucked up. That's when I'm on board usually.
Yeah, like listening to a punk band with programmed drums would kind of take me out of it. So,
Yep.
you know, all boils down to the vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
But well, I know I sent you like my little questionnaire and everything. Kind of been trying to custom tailor it a little bit more towards the production side of things. Um, and I know you have a whole slew of gear,
Got one or
but
two.
yeah. What would you say are probably the three amp like top three amps that you tend to gravitate towards for like majority of your sessions?
Um, I try to get away from the JCM 800, and I always come back to it.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. Just takes pedals well. You can make it sound like a million different things. Um, and then I have a Marshall JMP that's the same circuit, so it's a 2203, but it also is running on 6550, so it's like super bass heavy, and it can get like a thicker thing going on
Mm-hmm.
rather than kind of standard Marshall bite. Um, and I go back to that one a lot too.
Yeah.
And then been using the DC-10 a lot with other stuff, but I recently got, or maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, I got a heavy metal warfare amp from Dean
Oh
Custom,
yeah.
and that thing smokes. It would be really good for a slow doom band that recorded real stuff because it's just so it's like I wouldn't call it woofy, but it's meaty
Yeah.
and very easy to saturate in the kind of low mid to mid range, and it sounds really really crushing with low tuned stuff.
Oh yeah. I've seen those pop up with a few different people on here. I think you and me even talked about it briefly whenever you posted a clip of it. I can't remember, but they kind of have like a very sludgy, dirty 5150 sort of vibe.
Pretty
Uh,
much, yeah.
yeah.
It looks like a Model T, but it's a lot smoother than a Model T.
Okay, that's it. um, who name a couple bands, which I guess depending on your project that you're working on, this probably changes. But let's say for Twitching Tongues, because I've seen you roll out with several different amplifiers, from Marshall to Mesa, what have you. What is your inspiration for a lot of like for your tone? Like what kind of dictates what you're aiming at tone wise?
Uh, I go through phases where I want it to be a little fuzzier or a little more overdriven. It,
Hmm.
it's hard to say because I could feel one way one day and another. Like it's not. I guess it's not that calculated. Um, but as long as it sounds sick for whatever we're doing, that's what I'm looking. I'm always looking for like a meaty chug with a nice bite. I
Yeah.
switch pickups more than I switch other things. Like I almost always use the JCM 800, but I've
Hmm.
been putting different pickups in my guitars years more than anything.
What what's your favorite pickup at the moment?
Right now, I've been using Kurt Blues slug jammers a lot. They're really sick. They have kind of a unique bite to them. They're not like it doesn't have the typical high end, but it has a ton of gain, and so it can get kind of just different tones with all your regular shit.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
I of course I'm sure it's like anything else GCI, pretty limited quantity, so haven't seen a whole lot of those out there yet.
He puts them in his guitars, and then every time he does a run of guitars, he puts some pickups up after, but they
Right.
don't fast as the guitars. I don't think.
Yeah, it seems like every time he does a run of anything, it sells out fairly relatively quickly.
Yeah,
Which which do you have one or two GCI guitars?
I have one.
Okay. How do you like it?
It's great. I keep it as my like tuned guitar,
Hmm.
just for like having a normal guitar laying around. Just
Sure.
because of every band I play in, I'm using the Kaler or something like that. So it's just nice to have one that can exist in a tuning that I can play Metallica to or something like that.
Absolutely. You got to have at least one, but rip all the classics.
Hmm.
Uh, so, I mean, that's kind of cool that, which stylistically Twitching Tongues is such a versatile band and just seems like just do whatever we want because we can sort
That's
of
yeah,
project.
yeah.
So I guess when it comes to inspiration for, riffing and songwriting, I mean, like the general theme of Twitching Tongues just seems to be whatever we want, right?
I mean, yeah, it always has been. Just however we're feeling at the moment. Sometimes um, people latch on, sometimes they don't.
Well, I can certainly appreciate it, and so far it's been a win every time for me. Uh, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that feel the same way. It's just such a sick band, and for anybody who somehow strangely that's watching this that hasn't checked out Twitching Tongues, you really should. But and then also, if you haven't checked out Zaus, uh, maybe that's a little bit more in line with our fan base, but uh, absolutely brutal, brutal, crushing fucking. I guess you would just call it a demo, but
Yeah.
really looking forward to that.
Sick. I forgot about Apparition. I play bass in Apparition as well, and we have a show with Demolic in June. That'll be pretty sick.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'd be a hell of a fucking show.
Yeah, that'll be nuts.
Love that band. I, admittedly, I was a little late to the party on Demolic just because I don't know, there's just so many fucking bands out there, I guess. I was listening to Primitive Brutality, and somebody made a comment about like them sounding similar, so I finally checked them out, and yeah, now I love them. Now I love them too. But let's rewind it back a little bit. What player or players would you say kind of first got you interested in picking up the guitar or just getting into music in general? Especially since you pretty much do anything and everything. You're literally a one-man band and recording studio.
I think the first few for guitar were well, Black Sabbath was like the ultimate first one. All the first riffs I learned were Black Sabbath riffs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Hatebreed was a big one, just because that was like I could instantly play the songs almost like not well, but it was like something I could pick learn pretty fast.
Sure.
And then Andreas and Max from Sepultura were big ones too, just because that was also like metal. I felt like I could play, but also it was what I latched onto when I got into metal. Like Sepultura, Pantera was some early ones for sure, but Pantera sounded impossible. Still sounds impossible to me. But yeah, Sepultura was definitely like the probably the biggest one.
Hell yeah. And let me see here. What would you what kind of made you want to venture into the production side of things? Was it kind of for you, was it all like a one all in one shot? Like I gotta learn everything. I have to be able to do everything. Or was this a gradual, you start off on guitar, then little by little picked up everything else?
Yeah, I started on drums just because my dad was a drummer and that's what we had.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into guitar. I got into recording just because I didn't have a ton of people around that liked the same stuff as me. So I would just write songs by myself and record them really shitty. And then I started doing bands and was never like super psyched on products that I would, pay people to record. Mostly just because I couldn't convey what I wanted out of it. And like, everybody would try to make it as clean as possible, and I always wanted it to be a little fucked up and kind of glued together more than most things. And
Right.
uh, so I just started doing it myself.
Hell yeah. Let me see. Ben Stein. Really? Sorry, the chat's very distracting. uh, what kind of goals do you have going right now? Musically, personally, for any of the bands? Is there any kind of benchmark that you're trying to hit with any of the projects or the studio right now?
Um, Not mostly just for me, it's kind of survived the schedule just because it's been getting so crazy with the studio stuff and then still being able to do bands. So it's kind of like trying to find the balance of enjoying both without
Right.
getting out. Which I am not burnt out yet, but sometimes I get worried about it just because I'm working on so many things back to back. I'm working on like 4 mixes this week, so it's sometimes it can feel cumbersome.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I'm just trying to get through it, and also just keep it. I'm trying to keep playing music fun, because I did it for a career for a long time, and it kind of got not fun.
Hmm.
Trying to take it back to just doing what we want to do instead of doing what we feel like we have to.
Right. No, I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
But is there is there any kind of gear that you're shifting back to gear? Is there anything that you're eyeing right now, whether it was something for the studio or something that you're just for fun, just really wanting to try out in the context of one of your projects, or
Um, I'm always looking. I'm looking every day. I every day. It's insane. I have this EQ that's been in transit for like 3 months, and it's fucking killing me. But a company called Custom Germany, and they make this like it's like a Soundtech clone. That's like a mastering EQ essentially. It's sick to use as like it's like the ultimate parametric EQ, so you can do the smallest little cuts or boosts, and it's literally just been stuck in customs for 2 months, and I'm probably never gonna get it. But I guess that would be the thing I would like to fucking have at this moment.
that's that's crazy. Why? I wonder why.
I think because it was a declared value, some amount of money, it's all technical bullshit and
Huh?
holding it hostage.
That's crazy because not not to ruin your face. I bought and received a guitar from the UK and got it in like less than a week. Like that's
Yeah,
just weird. But how about guitar wise? Is there any like holy grail? I mean, you have a little bit of everything at this point. I know you're definitely a Strat guy,
I'm a
but
Shrek. I'm also a Gibson guy. I have always wanted a wine red Les Paul
mhm.
go hard to the point where I have a bass that I got in the same colorway, and it just doesn't look as cool. Um, someday I will have that for sure.
Yeah. What let's see. Overall, which I know, like you said, you like to kind of experiment. You tend to lean towards Marshall, and you'll kind of go between tighter or fuzzier tones.
Hmm.
Um, would you say the Marshall is just ultimately kind or like that Marshall tone, or at least something close or similar? Is that's just kind of your thing? That's what tends to work for you the best?
I think it just is the best, and it's hard to top it.
Yeah.
Um, Especially for someone who is looking to change a lot. The Marshall can do anything I want to do, and then if that one can't do it, the other one can, because
Yeah.
it's
No, I get it. I mean, when you find something that works for you, especially if you spend enough time with it, becomes kind of impossible to try to move away from it.
yeah.
Um, the dual rectifier has probably been my equivalent in that case.
Hmm.
Like, I bought and almost immediately sold so many different amps just because nothing, it's like, yeah, that sounds cool. Still not as cool though, you know?
Yeah, the rec gets that kind of saturated bottom end that you can't really fake with anything.
Yeah.
It's definitely a sick amp. I had two, and I actually had sold both just because never got used. I like the DC-10 a lot more, but that's just because I can shape it like crazy, whereas the rec kind of sounds like the rec all the time.
No, I get that for sure. Um, I could be off. This could be like forum BS, But isn't the DC slash the 50 cal plus like basically kind of in the Mark series kind of family, kind of like
Yeah,
working? Yeah.
it has EQ on it, so you can get those tones. I would
Hmm.
say it's a little more gnarly than those. So the dads tend to lean towards the Mark series, but
Hmm.
the DC, the Caliber series can get just way more crazy sounding. And honestly, if you don't use the EQ on it, it's like borderline unusable because the mids are out of. So if your EQ's busted, kind of fucked.
Is it is isn't the Mark series like its EQ is kind of like in a weird place within the circuit of the amp, so it's like you probably similar thing, like you kind of have to use it almost.
Kind of. Well, so only in the Caliber series, only the lead channel can use it.
Really? Okay.
Kind of
Huh.
weird.
Do
But
you do you miss it on the other channels?
I mean, I just don't use the other channels.
Oh. Okay. Well, solves that then.
Hmm.
But, uh, there was another. I think the F series, right? Isn't it also sort of in that family too, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't know anything about the F series.
Okay. I could be off too. I know there's like the F series and there's a Nomad. Mesa
Um,
has gone through so many different models of amps that they only made for a short time and then never again.
yeah,
Kind
the Caliber series got murdered by the rectifiers
of,
because I
yeah.
think the 10 came out the same year as the first rec, and
Hmm.
just and people liked the modern look of the rec too. So just that was that. So you can find
Yeah.
ends cheap as hell. If you look, you can find them for like $600.
I've come close to pulling the trigger on a couple over the years, and it just never quite worked out. You find the combos all the time.
Yeah, my is a converted combo just because I had to get the fucking speakers out of there.
But it is the DC. You said it was the DC 100?
DC, yeah, it's
10. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they have 5 and then the 50 cal.
Okay.
I have a 50 cal too. Just and then I got that one modded with some like amp output transformer mod because I
Okay.
guess stock one actually only does 30 watts, but it's a 50 watt.
Hmm.
So you put the new transformer on and then it is just a louder, crazier amp.
Okay. Which that one's always synonymous is like the Pepper Keenan amp for me. But
It's I mean he got it from Metallica, so but Metallica used it for like one tour or one record or something.
did they? See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they used it on maybe Ride the Lightning or Puppets. I'm not sure, or it could have just been that they used it a little bit on one of those, or just some tour. I think there's some kind of Metallica connection.
Nice. I see, one of my favorite things about Metallica, outside of obviously, you know, killer records. Uh, I love all the lore and backstory and kind of like gossip as like what they did in the studios with this and that, um, to like the weird tunings. Uh, like what was it? It was the same tuning that Pantera did. Like
Tuning between E and E.
yeah,
Yeah, we did that for the last That's the center record.
for the last what record you cut out?
RJC Regional Justice Center.
Okay, okay. I I have to go back and listen now. That's awesome.
It's halfway. There's songs that are halfway between E and E flat. There's songs that are halfway between E flat and D, and then I think there's one song in D.
Nice. Um, yeah, that's kind of one of the things. Like you don't get fun stuff like that anymore. It reminds you of like when you were a kid and you and all of like your little shithead buddies would just like kind of spread gossip and rumors about like all your favorite bands. You know,
Yeah,
kind of kind of lose a little bit of that mystique at this day and age.
Yeah, the internet, you can see everything all the time.
Right. But I do still love that even now there's still a lot from like our, all of our classic records that we love that we'll never really 100% know.
Oh yeah.
And I just kind of love that.
Yeah, there's always something.
For sure. What would what would you say was the gateway death metal band for you, or even if it was like several?
I mean, technically, it's probably still Sepultura, just because they were kind of a window into death metal and hardcore, because they toured with Sick of It All, and then they toured with Morbid Angel. So it was they're kind of like perfect centerpiece band. After that, Deicide was one for sure. Dying Fetus was a big one for me, just to get into like deeper shit and kind of find what I liked about it and what I wanted. And then I just learned that there's so many different versions of death metal.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely lean towards metal that sounds like hardcore, where it's just kind of like shitty sounding, and like I listen to all the finished tapes and shit like that. Like that's what I like more, just because it sounds like people in rooms playing,
Sure.
rather than the overly calculated tech shit, which I also appreciate some of that stuff too, but
Right.
I do the gnarly stuff.
It's sorry. Yeah, it almost kind of puts you in mind talking about like raw production versus stuff that's overly polished. It almost reminds you of like the uncanny valley, like when you're watching movies or any kind of show or whatever. When you see something that's like a digital effect or whatever, a visual effect, no matter how good it is, no matter how technically, amazing it is, or how skilled the VFX artist is, there's a certain element to it that your brain will instinctually, recognizes that's not a real person. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
you can get light, do crazy lighting and shadow tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But uh, we're the brain is just way, way, way too used to seeing, real shit to be 100% fooled,
Yeah.
And I think that translates some to audio production as well. Like the whole thing from a couple of years ago about like guitar players like faking it and doing like trying to record with a Guitar Pro and reamping it and shit like that.
That's my night.
Yeah. That yeah. Can't fool the human brain, I
No.
guess. Well, yeah. Well, man, pretty much blazed through a lot of these questions here, but oh, there's one thing. Um, you have always been a kind of a spokesperson for the mosh riff. So these the next two questions are both going to be like a top 4 thing. So just a heads up.
I need a list in front.
Yeah. So, the first one is their top 4 mosh riffs.
Top 4. Fuck. I can give you number 1 for sure. All Out War has a song called what's the song called? My brain fart. 1 second. This song called Cross of Disbelief, that has this mosh part in the middle that changes key in the middle of the mosh part, and it's just the ultimate part for like if if that's what you're looking for, that is the one part. And they don't play the songs. The song's like 6 minutes long, and it has like 2 intros and shit. Um, but it's easily like if I need to get pepped up, I'm putting on that song because it's fucking insane.
Oh yeah.
4. I don't know about 4. Uh, go with the band that pretty much got me. One of the bands that got me into hardcore was a band from Massachusetts called Grimlock. And they have a song called Mountain of Power that is literally just chug right away and chug the whole time. And I've kind of been chasing that my whole life. That whole 7-inch is amazing. The Thirst for Immortality 7-inch. Let's see. I'm just gonna fucking throw darts here. Any Marauder riff on Master Killer is worthy of a murder for sure. Let's see. I'm gonna get a death metal one. Oh, we'll do Ripping Corpse. The song Rift of Hate has this big, just fucking dun, dun, dun in the middle of it, and it's perfect.
Nice.
And it sounds kind of crazy. It sounds like it could be like a late '80s hardcore record,
Mm-hmm.
but I love it.
Oh yeah, killer list. Which I've there's actually more of a hardcore scene where I live than there is a death metal scene or
Yeah,
a metal scene at all, really. So yeah, I definitely have heard Grimlock a good few times. I don't have any album or song titles memorized or nothing like that, but I need to go back and revisit it. I actually kind of forgot about them until you brought that up.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. They're one of my favorites forever.
Hell yeah, yeah. I definitely need to revisit that now. So give me a top 4 essential death metal records for Taylor Young.
Uh, okay, we'll go straight to Morbid Angel for sure. But I'm gonna go with uh, Gateways. That's probably my favorite, just because it sounds so weird. The guitar tone is fucking incredible. Um, the songs are a little bloated, but it has like the most magical moments to me. Um,
I agree with that.
I'm gonna do. Let's see. Like I'm trying to think of what I would go put on in the house like right now if I was just gonna go. Demolic is definitely one of my favorites. Record. Nespith, which is just up of literally the penis. That's what the name of the record is. But it's so gross. I wish the vocals were like a little lower in the mix, but the riffs are just insane. They tune to like G or something, and they don't really sound that low. But I love that record.
They really don't sound that. Really, I did not
It,
know that.
it's low as fuck, but that you can't really tell in the
No,
mix.
it's crazy.
I'm just gonna throw out a like a new band I really like. Just
Hmm.
that I really like Malignant Altar.
Oh,
Um,
they're killer.
yeah, they're fucking awesome. Dauber is a dope drummer and songwriter. I really like their LP and the demo on Maggot Stomp. Let's see. I got one more. Top 4. Just because I haven't put it down in forever, I'm just gonna say Ripping Corpse Dreaming with the Dead. I love that record. It's almost a thrash record. It's kind of a death metal record.
Yeah,
It like you can. It's got some hardcore in there. I heard that Relapse or not Relapse, Earache didn't sign them because they thought they had too much hardcore in them. Which,
hmm.
but because if you go back and look at it now, yeah, like maybe the singer's got a white shirt on, short hair, but so did Suffocation. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a weird reason. But yeah, I love that record. I guess I should do Suffocation, Piercing Within too. I actually listened to that the other day and almost crashed my car.
Yeah, and that is interesting. Which just because like Suffocation and Dying Fetus very clearly have so much hardcore influence in
Yeah.
both of those bands. You know what I mean? Like that's a weird. That would be a very very weird deterrent for a label.
Yeah. Dying Fetus told me that that John listens to hardcore all the time so that he can get inspiration for new mosh riffs.
As he should.
God's Hate listens to Dying Fetus so that we can get inspiration for new mosh riffs. So it's just a cycle.
I have that has become a more noticeable. I don't want to say trend, but has been a more noticeable influence in a lot of newer hardcore bands. Is they're drawing more inspiration from death metal or more extreme bands in general. Like I think it was probably like Finn McKenty or somebody that actually did like a Harm's Way riff side by side with a Cannibal Corpse riff,
Mm.
just to kind of show the influences in there for sure. But
Nobody,
Mhm.
nobody would argue that
Right,
we're all. That's a great well to take from.
fuck yeah, it is. uh, and like I said, for me, my kind of I started off, as a metal kid, and at all the shows, no matter how many spin kicks I threw, I was still always the metal kid at the shows. But I've always had a pretty deep love for both genres, and I mean, Ringworm is one of my all time favorite bands.
Oh yeah.
Um, like just nobody, I feel like nobody really fits the whole crossover bill quite the way they do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
They're the
And
OG.
oh yeah, and I don't know if anybody can ever sound as pissed off as Human Furnace.
If you read along to uh, The Promise, you will be filled with rage because it's so.
Yeah, I I get that. Well, Taylor, dude, this has been a lot of fun, man. Got to got to cover all kinds of shit that I've been dying to know for quite a while. Just like I said, I've been a fan for a few years now. Probably, I guess, pushing 10 years. Really, time flies.
Fucking sick.
Well, dude, I appreciate you taking the time, man. And yeah, is there anything that you want to try to plug or shout out real quick before we jump off here?
I think we got it all.
Hell yeah, man.
Sick.
Well, guys, thank you all for tuning in. And Taylor, thank you for your time, and can't wait to see the onslaught of new records
Hell
coming
yeah.
out.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
But take care, bud.
Adios.